Right now on Denver 7 News at 6, 4 arrested and 1 suspect still on the loose after a shocking crime. A mother of 4 killed by a stray bullet.
I'm Veronica Acosta. One of the suspects will be in court here behind me this morning. What police say started a deadly chain of events.
Breaking overnight, a big defeat for former President Trump's legal team. The evidence of obstruction agents say they found at Mar-a-Lago.
And mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the best snack of them all? What treats are topping the list for Colorado?
I guess we buck the Doritos trend in half the country.
Yeah, I steal nacho cheese Doritos for my kids all the time.
I like Cool Ranch.
The
Ranch.
best.
So thanks for joining us. It's the last day of August.
Yes, and we have a beautiful sunrise to start, although it's going to be another warm one.
It's going to heat up fast.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of hours where it just feels perfectly pleasant, and then it's going to get hot.
We only have a little more time to hit the pool, so
Good
before
point.
They close.
Yeah, most close down after Labor Day, so the countdown is on right now, and it's great weather for it. I'll show you that in just a minute, but before the pool, you got to go to school. Here's your bus stop forecast. We're going to be in the low to mid 60s here this morning. A few neighborhoods have been in the 70s. Highs are going to be right around 90 to about 95. Slight chance for an isolated storm or two today, but pretty quiet right now. 60s, even some 70s across the metro area early on. Winds out of the southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and highs are going to be once again in the 90s. So this 90-degree streak is going to continue through midweek, through the weekend, even into the first of next week. We'll take a closer look at that Super 7 Day coming up. If we get a thunderstorm or two today, it's going to be pretty isolated and really not a lot of rain, Jason. Mainly some gusty winds and potentially a little thunder and lightning.
Right now we have a situation across downtown Denver where we had at one point all lanes on I-25 closed down right here at 38th Avenue. The report came in as somebody was running along the express lanes right here by just south of I-70 and then went across the mainline lanes of I-25. Take a look. Air Tracker 7 is over it now, so this person was able to make it over here to the side. And then this is the transition coming from I-70 to go south on I-25, and now that person is being attended to by the police and the paramedics over there. They're saying a person in crisis is all they're telling me about this situation. But you can see on the camera that's here at 38th, the southbound side is really backed up, including here coming off of I-70. So the overall drive time getting into downtown is pretty bad. So the express lanes, as you can see from the map, the express lanes are probably your best option. Yeah, there's a toll involved, but it's going to save yourself a whole bunch of time getting into downtown right now.
She was a beloved mother and community member shot and killed by a stray bullet. This happened in East Denver back in July, and this morning police are still looking for a 5th suspect in the murder of Ma Kang. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta joins us live because one of the 4 people already arrested is due in court this morning.
He is, and Ma Kang, the mother of 4, who was just unloading her groceries back on July 15th when she was hit and killed by that stray bullet, is finally getting some justice. And like you mentioned, one of the men who police say was responsible is actually going to be inside of a courtroom here behind me later this morning. Take a look at your screen here. These are just 4 of the men that police are saying are responsible for the death of Kang. They're all being charged with first-degree murder. Now, here's what police told us happened that day. They said these men said they saw a vehicle circling New Freedom Park back in July. They said they, quote, didn't believe belonged in the area. The suspects shot at that vehicle, and police believe it was one of those bullets that killed Kang. And new this morning, we're hearing from Sharon Knight. She's the CEO of a nonprofit Kang worked with often. She told us Kang's son was happy arrests were made, but is still understandably dealing with the loss of his mom. She also told us he's dedicated to bettering his community, reducing crime, which is what she wants to.
For years, we've been asking for more services, more police coverage, more response, more infrastructure, and it just hasn't happened. What we need to do is find a way to stop that, to alleviate that no matter what part of town it's in.
And we do know that there is a 5th suspect on the loose. We're going to let you know when police arrest them as well. But we know that Kang's death, it sparks some change in how Verizon routes those 911 emergency calls. We know Kang's family, they called for help that day, but their call, that emergency call, was routed over to Aurora instead of Denver. And of course, that delayed getting her some help that day. Verizon's going to be making changes to its emergency call routing system. That's going to be happening nationwide. And we expect those changes to go into effect next year. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Some breaking news this morning. The Justice Department claims it found evidence of obstruction in its probe into classified documents found at the former president's home in Mar-a-Lago. It's a huge setback for former President Trump's defense in the case. This morning, the Justice Department is issuing a scathing rebuke of former President Trump's legal team and urging a judge to reject a request for a special master to review the seized records. The landmark filing details repeated efforts by the government to obtain those records and includes this image, which justice officials say shows top secret records seen here alongside a box of framed photos.
This is a blistering rebuke by the Justice Department of former President Donald Trump's legal team, basically dismantling almost every argument that they've put forward.
The DOJ claims it discovered efforts to obstruct its investigation into those FBI seized documents, saying government records were likely concealed and removed from a storage room at Mar-a-Lago. It also noted the FBI found 3 classified documents outside of boxes and in desks in a room called the 45 office. The DOJ explains it had been working with Trump's team for months to recover those records, even issuing subpoenas. They say Trump's lawyers never made any attempt to assert executive privilege.
The Justice Department here is essentially alleging that Trump's legal team engaged in obstruction in order to prevent the handover of classified materials.
The Mar-a-Lago probe came up on the campaign trail Tuesday.
It's sickening to see the new attacks on the FBI.
President Biden was in Pennsylvania condemning, quote, MAGA Republicans for the ramped up rhetoric and threats following the FBI search of Trump's home.
There's no place in this country, no place, for endangering the lives of law enforcement. I'm also opposed to defunding the FBI.
A Florida federal judge is set to hear arguments regarding Trump's special master request on Thursday and has already indicated preliminary support for granting that request.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be in Boulder today to promote the Inflation Reduction Act with a visit to the National Center for Atmospheric Research. The law passed last month is the largest investment in history to combat climate change, committing about $375 billion over the next decade toward initiatives like clean energy production, scientific research, and wildfire response. Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters is due back in court next week. The district attorney has asked the court to set a trial date for her at that appearance after wrapping up an investigation with the attorney general. Peters is accused of tampering with the county's elections equipment.
The city of Boulder is voluntarily pausing enforcement of its ban on assault weapons and large capacity magazines. The city passed those bans in June following the mass shootings in Uvalde, Texas and Buffalo, New York. Rocky Mountain gun owners filed lawsuits against Colorado cities that have enacted new gun laws. Yesterday, the city of Boulder, along with Superior and Louisville and also Boulder County, all agreed to consolidate the cases against them into one lawsuit. Mikhail Gorbachev will be buried alongside his wife in the coming days. The final leader of the Soviet Union died yesterday after an undisclosed illness. He was 91. These are photos taken when he spoke at Colorado State University in 2005. Gorbachev rose to power in 1985, setting into motion radical economic and foreign policy reforms. He's credited, of course, with lifting the Iron Curtain through talks with President Ronald Reagan. He won a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. He remained a respected figure in the West, but lost popularity with his own people after the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989.
Broncos are down to their final roster and ready for the season opener now. They had to cut 21 players yesterday to get to the max of 53 total on the roster. And here are some of the notable ones cut. The team actually traded linebacker Malik Reed to the Steelers for a 6th-round pick. They released quarterback Josh Johnson, so Brett Rippon will back up quarterback Russell Wilson. They waived Mike Purcell from Highlands Ranch, but plan to re-sign him today. They also waived receiver Kendall Hinton.
So this is tough, and this is a really good group of players we're releasing. And so on behalf of Nathaniel, myself, and the entire Broncos organization, we just want to thank these players. And we're going to try to get a lot of these players back in our practice squad. I feel good about our team. I feel good about our 53-man roster. Very fluid, as you guys know. You know, we had opportunities to trade players, but we also want to win now. You know, we want to win this year. And so, there's a fine line, you know, just getting picks to get picks. But we also want to win games.
Yeah, General Manager George Payton there, the lead talent scout and evaluator on the team. Just a reminder, we're 2 weeks out now from the Broncos' first game of the season in Seattle against the Seahawks, September 12th. You can watch that Monday night primetime game right here on Denver 7. Lisa.
6:10, and we are in for a really pretty morning. If you're heading out to a patio for lunch today, we're going to be in the 80s, mid to upper 80s by that point, with some sunshine. There is a slight chance for a few thunderstorms here this afternoon, mainly some gusty winds. We're going to hit highs in the 90s and then drop back down into the 80s by dinner time tonight. So Jason, it is going to be toasty all day long today, and 90s through the weekend. We'll have that full holiday forecast on the Super 7 Day coming up.
And that scary situation where somebody was running along southbound I-25 right after I-70 is now all gone. The person was not hit, but made it across from the express lanes through the main lanes and then over here to the side right there where I-70 joins. They're in the ambulance right now, so the ambulance is pulling away, as are the Denver police. So everything is open again southbound I-25, and traffic should start to ease up, but you will find a slower than normal drive if you're just about to leave the house from the north side getting to downtown.
Well, take two. NASA will try again to test its moon rocket, the new launch window, as scientists explain what went wrong on Monday. And we all want to feel safe when getting into someone else's car. The new features Uber is adding.
And outdoor dining was a lifeline for so many restaurants during the pandemic, and a lot of people grew to love it. We are looking at where they're trying to make it permanent and where they're packing up the idea.